we're back with another chapter of A Treasures Discovered by LizzeXX. We are on chapter 17, which is the second chapter of Boomtown, so if you want to follow along, chapter links to both archive and fanfiction.net are in the description below for you to pick and choose which one you want to follow along to. There's not really any difference except archive has embedded pictures in some of the chapters, so that's all I think is the difference. So let's just get started. Chapter 17, Boomtown. To capture Ace Levine. The five of them walked up the steps of Town Hall on a mission, entering and walking up the steps of the entrance hall as if they owned the place. They stopped and glanced around. According to intelligence, Jack winked at Rose and Mickey. The target is the last surviving member of the Levine family, a criminal sect from the planet Raxacor Falafatorius, masquerading as a human being zipped inside a skin suit. Okay, plan of attack. We assume a basic 57-56 strategy, covering all available exits on the ground floor. Doctor, you go face to face. That'll designate exit 1. I'll cover exit 2. Rose, you're exit 3. Mickey Smith, and me. Angel called, looping an arm through Mickey's. Mickey cast a quick glance over at the doctor, swearing he heard a sort of growl come from the man. He couldn't help but laugh silently. The man was so gone about Angel and didn't even seem to realize. So he just secured his arm with Angel more. If the doctor could run off with his girl, why couldn't he run off with the doctor's? Even if it was just for setting up a trap. Jack smiled. You two take exit 4. Have you got that? The doctor eyed the man in surprise as Rose struggled to understand what he was going on about. Excuse me, the doctor cut in. Who's in charge? Jack grinned sheepishly. Sorry. Awaiting orders, sir. Right, the doctor nodded, his voice deepening with authority. Here's his plan. He paused and beamed. Like you said, that's fine. Anything else? Present arms, Jack commanded, as they each brought out their mobile phones shouting ready. All except Angel, as Mickey had her covered. Speed dial? They each pressed a button. Yep, the doctor nodded. Ready, Rose grinned. Check, Mickey laughed. Wait. Angel finished for him, jokingly. Do you and how? Jack said with a lazy grin before moving right. The doctor and Rose headed off to different exits straight ahead, while Mickey hesitated. This way. Angel tugged him gently, pulling him to the left, making Mickey smile. For some reason, he was still half expecting Angel to call him an idiot or make some sort of remark that made him feel like he was, just like the doctor tended to do. He hadn't met any other Time Lords. How was he supposed to know what they were like? But Angel, she didn't sound like the doctor at all. It wasn't just the fact that she talked at a normal speed and didn't use all those fancy temporal terms or whatever they were. It was that she explained things in a way he could understand. She seemed to realize what the humans around her weren't following, and at least tried to help them along, and she wasn't afraid to admit she didn't have the slightest clue what the doctor was talking about either. He noticed as they sat for lunch that she didn't seem to quite get certain phrases or actions. He made a comment to Jack, who made another whatever sign, and Angel had asked why he kept making a W, and offered him her water, which made them all chuckle, which made him realize it was a fairly common situation with the girl. He'd offered to explain it to her, which she appreciated, and it made him feel smart to be able to help someone else understand humans. He tried to explain it as best he could, much like she had explained the TARDIS cloaking thing. He understood it when she explained it. She'd done it without insulting his intelligence, which was always a plus. And there was the way that she smiled at him when he'd gotten that she was a time lady from just her name. She seemed actually impressed with him. Mickey Smith. She was just encouraging, was all, and it really meant a lot to him that she designated herself as his partner for this little mission of theirs. The doctor, well, he had to admit the man was impressive. Rose certainly seemed to think so. But the way Angel looked at him, it made him feel like he was pretty impressive too. And he was just a human. It was nice. The doctor strode over to the secretary behind the desk beside the mayor's office. Hello? I've come to see the Lord Mayor. Have you got an appointment? The man looked up. Nope, just an old friend passing by. Bit of a surprise. Can't wait to see her face. Well, she's just having a cup of tea. Just Go in there and tell her the doctor would like to see her. Doctor who? Just the doctor. Tell her exactly that. The doctor. The secretary stood up resignedly and hey, hold on a tick. He entered the office, leaving the doctor standing there expectantly, with his hands behind his back, not even flinching when a teacup broke inside the office. The secretary came back out, slightly flushed, opening the door as little as possible before squeezing through it. The Lord Mayor says thank you for popping by. She'd love to have a chat, but, she's up to her eyes in paperwork. Perhaps if you could make an appointment for next week? She's climbing out the window, isn't she? Yes, she is. The doctor grinned, smirked, and pushed past his way into the office, running across the floor to the open window and climbing out into the balcony, only to see Margaret jumping onto some scaffolding. Sabine heading north, he shouted into his phone. On my way, Rose called. Over and out, Jack added. Oh my God, Mickey breathed, stunned. He heard Angel giggling in the background. Come on, Mick. He turned, about to follow after Margaret, when the secretary rushed out and grabbed him. Leave the mayor alone. Rose dashed down a hall, pushing past two women in the process, knocking their paperwork out of their hands before rushing out a door. A tea lady shrieked as Jack did a running leap over her trolley as he ran down the corridor and out the door. Mickey and Angel ran down a hall, Angel pulling Mickey to the right, just narrowly avoiding a cleaning trolley, as they raced around the corner and outside, laughing at that close call. The doctor struggled to get the secretary off as Margaret leapt off the scaffolding to the ground, taking off her brooch as she ran. She turned, ready to make her escape, only to see Rose running towards her, blocking the way. She hissed angrily and pulled off an earring, turning her head to the other way, but Jack ran towards her. Her eyes widened with shock as she turned back the way she came, as the doctor managed to climb down the scaffolding. Margaret, he called, sounding almost sing-song. She turned and quickly bolted down the last exit as fast as her fat little legs could carry her, putting off her last earring just as Mickey and Angel burst out the door to block her path. She glared, running faster towards them, shoving Angel roughly into the wall and carrying on. Mickey, not even bothering with the woman as he ran to Angel's side to help her up as she cradled her arm. Mickey the idiot, the doctor called as he, Rose, and Jack rounded the corner to see the two of them there and Margaret running away. Oh, be fair, she's not exactly gonna outrun us, is she? Rose commented. But Margaret clipped her brooch and earrings together, vanishing in a blast of blue. She's got to teleport, Jack shouted. That's cheating. Now we're never gonna get her. Oh, the doctor's very good with teleports. The doctor smirked, pulling out the sonic and clicking it on. Margaret reappeared, running towards them. The grin on her face faded when she realized she was back and stopped, turning to run the other way, pressing her teleport. The doctor clicked sonic. Margaret appeared, closer, running towards them. She turned around and vanished again, only for the doctor to make her reappear almost right in front of them, exhausted. I could do this all day. This is persecution! Margaret held her hands up in surrender. Why can't you leave me alone? What did I ever do to you? You tried to kill me and destroy this entire planet. Apart from that. Jack walked forward and grabbed her arm, securing her. Nice job, everyone. He grinned. Yeah, the doctor nodded, turning to look at Mickey and Angel. Good. What's wrong? He frowned and walked over to Angel, seeing her clutching the elbow of her left arm, wincing. She shoved her into the wall, Mickey said, glaring at Margaret for hurting his new friend. The doctor gently took Angel's hand from Mickey, stepping beside her a bit closer, making Mickey step away to give him room as he straightened her arm out, flashing it with the sonic. Just bruised, he told her, reaching up to rub it gently, entirely focused on her injury instead of the alien being held back by the time agent behind him. Mickey watched the interaction. This was a new development. Last time the doctor was here, he arose the... But now, eager and hopeful with a smile. The quintet ushered Margaret into the exhibit room of the nuclear plant. So, you're a Slovene, you're on Earth, you're trapped, the doctor said to her. Your family get killed, but you teleport out, just in the nick of time. You have no means of escape. What do? You build a nuclear power station. He nodded at a model of it on a table as Rose and Jack examined it with interest. What for? Hey, hold on, I got it. Philosophical gesture, she replied. I've learned the error of my ways, and it just so happens to be right on top of the rift. What rift would that be? A rift in space and time. Jack looked at her. If this power station went into meltdown, the entire planet would go boom. He made an exaggerated exploding gesture. The doctor looked down at the model. This station is designed to explode the minute it reaches captivity. Did anyone notice? Rose shook her head. Isn't there someone in London checking this sort of stuff out? Sort of stuff. Of course they noticed, Angel replied, a bit distracted, frowning as she looked up at a banner for the plant along the back wall, staring at the words blood. We'll just go with that. But do you think she'd let them talk? Oh, yes, the doctor added sarcastically, glaring at Margaret. You've truly learned. We're in Cardiff, Margaret defended, trying to play her role down. London doesn't care. The south of Wales coast could fall into the sea and they wouldn't notice. Oh, I sound like a Welshman. God help me. I'm native. But why would she do that? Vicky frowned. Great big explosion. She'd only end up killing herself. She's got a name, you know. Margaret glared at him. She's not even a she. She's a valedictorian? Angel offered. Thing, Angel went with. Not about to even try to pronounce that. Oh, but she's clever. The doctor eyed the woman a moment, before turning and prying the middle part of the model and turning it over to reveal a giant circuit board underneath. Fantastic. Is that a tribal physical waveform macro kinetic extrapolator? Jack looked at the board, eyes wide in excitement. Couldn't have put it better myself. Jack took the board from him for a better look. Oh, genius. The doctor looked up at the group around him, all looking at the board except for Angel, who was looking at the banner for the project. He frowned, stepping beside her, caught by the words bad girl as well. You didn't build this. Jack looked at Margaret. I have my hobbies. Margaret waved him off. A little tinkering. No. I mean, you really didn't build this. Way beyond you. Bet she stole it, Mickey remarked. It fell into my hands. Margaret agreed slightly. Is it a weapon? Rose asked. Jack placed the extrapolator down on the floor. It's transport. You see, the reactor blows, the rift opens, phenomenal cosmic disaster. But this thing shrouds you in a force field. You have this energy bubble, so you're safe. Then you feed it coordinates. Then on top, you move it on top of it and ride the concussion all the way out of the solar system. It's a surfboard, Mickey exclaimed. A pan-dimensional surfboard, yeah. And it would have worked, Margaret mucketed darkly. I would have surfed away from this dead-end dump and back to civilization. You blow up a whole planet just to get a lift? Mickey gaped, incredulous. Like stepping on an anthill. How do you think of the name? The doctor asked. They turned to see him and Angel looking intently at the banner. What? Bad girl? It's Welsh. I know, but how did you think of it? Chose it at random, that's all. Oh, I don't know. Just sounded good. Does it matter? But I'm thrilled. Angel breathed. What's it mean? Rose frowned. Bad wolf, the doctor translated. But I've heard that before. Bad wolf, Rose said, her eyes widening, scared. I've heard that lots of times. Everywhere we go, 2 words, following us. Bad wolf. How can they be following us? The doctor stared, lost in thought, for a few seconds before smiling. Nah, just a coincidence. I hear a word on the radio, and I'm hearing it all day. Never mind, things to do. He clapped briskly. Margaret, I'm going to take you home. Hold on, isn't that the easy option? Like letting her go? Jack shook his head. I don't believe it, Rose cheered excitedly. We actually get to go to Blackson. The doctor rolled his eyes at her. Wait a minute, she cried, indignant. Raxacorial valedictorius, the doctor said quickly. Raxacorial, Rose began. Valedictorius. Angel finished, much more slowly than the doctor, finally turning away from the banner. Rose looked at her and nodded. That's a call valedictorious, she screeched in delight. That's it? Angel laughed. I did it! Rose turned to Angel, holding her up her hand to Angel, who just stared at it, confused. Rose rolled her eyes playfully and took Angel's hand, slapping it with her own in a high five, making Angel smile. Brilliant! They have the death penalty, Margaret cut in, causing silence to fall and smiles to fade. The family Sabine was tried in its absence many years ago and found guilty, with no chance of appeal. According to the statutes of government, the moment I return, I am to be executed. What do you make of that, Doctor? She looked at him with a hard look. Take me home and you take me to my death. Not my problem, he remarked, indifferent. Angel, however, just eyed Margaret with a small frown. Margaret walked slowly through the TARDIS, staring wide-eyed at everything, as they stood in it that night. This ship is impossible. It's superb. How do you the outside around the inside? British never reveals their secrets, Angel said, for blinking and looking at Rose. That's the right expression, yeah? Rose nodded, making an okay sign. The last time she tried to use a human expression, she'd remarked that someone looked like they had seen a goat instead of a ghost. And the time before that, Jack had commented that it was time for the doctor to get back on the horse, when he'd been trying to crack a lock on a door without the sonic. And Angel had asked if he was getting a pony, and then asked if they could name it Arthur. But she had to admit, she loved Angel's little quirk when it came to expressions and picking up on cues. It always made for interesting conversations, and, in rather dire circumstances, made them all laugh and feel better. Angel smiled and moved to crouch beside Jack, helping him hook up the extractolator. I almost feel better about being defeated. We never stood a chance. This is the technology of the gods. Don't worship me. I'd make a very bad god, the doctor replied. You wouldn't get a day off for starters. Jack, how we doing, big fella? Jack looked up. This is exactly the top of the range. He peered around at Margaret. Where'd you get it? Oh, I don't know. Some airlock sale? She trailed. Must have been a great big heist. Stack of power. But we could use it for fuel, the doctor asked. It's not compatible enough, Angel replied, standing up and brushing off her hands. But, she smiled, I know my TARDIS is. Bypass a few circuits, and it should take 12 hours off. Fantastic, the doctor smiled, moving to put an arm around her, half hugging her. See this? Right here? This was what made her fantastic. She claimed she was average, probably even on the lower marks in the academy, but here, she was just brilliant. She was so great with the TARDIS, knowing just what needed fixing and how to do it, how to handle the box when things went wrong. She fixed things he hadn't even known had been broken, and pointed out that he'd been leaving the brakes on since his first trip, which created the funny wheezing noise that always sounded whenever the TARDIS took off. He blushed a bit at that and got to turn the brakes off when she grabbed his hand, telling him to leave it. It wasn't damaging the TARDIS, and it made the box and its arrival all the more unique, like him. She really was just brilliant when it came to TARDISes, time travel, space, history, completely lost in science and math, and a score of other subjects. But he really enjoyed their talks at night, or when the humans went off to do their own thing, where he'd explain something she didn't understand. She'd always look even more lost by the end of it, having even less understanding than when he first started talking. But she just smiled and said it was a good thing she had him around. He liked that. He liked being the person she depended on for some things. It was nice that she found him intelligent and a good person and liked having him around. We ready to go by morning then? He shook himself from his thoughts. So we're here for the night? Rose asked. I'm in no hurry, Margaret commented. We've got a prisoner, Rose smiled, a little excited. The police box is really a police box. Margaret gave her a serious smile in return. You're not just police, though. Since you're taking me to my death, that makes you my executioners. Each and every one of you. Well, you deserve it, Mickey said coldly. You're very quick to say so. She turned to him. You're very quick to soak your hands in my blood, which makes you better than me. How, exactly? Mickey went silent. She smirked. Long night ahead. You might as well stop now, Angel commented, setting something into the console to feed Jack as the alien sat grimly on the captain's chair. You won't change our minds. Really? Angel raised an eyebrow. Margaret raised an eyebrow. See who can look me in the eye. She looked right at Mickey with a calm, collected gaze, and he held it for a few seconds before looking away. Next, she turned to Rose, who just glanced guiltily at the doctor, who glanced up a moment before focusing on his work. And then she turned her gaze on Angel as she turned to lean against the side of the console, staring her dead in the eye. You'll be going home, Angel told her calmly. One way or the other. Margaret frowned, trying to hold her gaze, only to look away herself at that horrible, knowing look in the woman's eyes. She was certain of Margaret's return, and the fact that one of them was shook her more than she wanted to admit. Mickey stood alone outside the TARDIS in front of the water feature when Rose stepped up beside him. It's freezing out here, she commented. Petting him in there, he nodded at the TARDIS. She does deserve it. She's a Slovene. I don't care. It's just weird in that box. Rose grinned tentatively. I didn't really need my passport. Mickey grinned broadly at that. She just wanted to see him. She nudged him playfully and he nudged her back. I've been thinking, we could go and have a drink, have a pizza or something, just you and me. That'd be nice. And, if the Tigers can't leave until morning, we could... He trailed off as Rose nodded, listening. He looked down, slightly bashful. Go to a hotel for the night? If you want to, I've got some money. She smiled. Okay, yeah. Is that alright? She laughed. Yeah. He grinned wider. Cool. There's a couple of bars around here. We should give them a go. He nodded at the TARDIS. Do you have to go and tell them? It's none of their business, Rose remarked, taking his hand and leading him off. In the TARDIS, Angel smiled gently, watching them walk off from the monitor. She could tell Mickey really cared about Rose, and it was nice to see them acting sweet like this. She could tell he was an incredible man. There was just something about him. I guess it's not always like this, having to wait. Margaret muttered darkly as she sat on the grilling, her back to them working on the console. I bet you're always the first to leave, Doctor. Never mind the consequences. Off you go. You bitched my family and then ran for the stars. Am I right? But not this time. At last you have consequences. How does it feel? I didn't butcher them, the doctor replied. Turn at her back, Jack commented. That's what she wants. Andrew agreed. I didn't. The doctor turned to them, needing her to understand he understood the family. Angel smiled softly and walked over to him, placing a hand on his as it rested tensely on Elphaba, squeezing it in understanding. He smiled at her as she walked past him on the other side of him, working on the console before he called to Margaret. What about you? You had an emergency teleport. You didn't zap in safety, did you? It only carries one, she said. I had to fly without coordinates. I ended up a skip in the Isle of Dogs. The boys chuckled. It wasn't funny. Sorry, the doctor remarked. Margaret turned around to see them both grinning. It is a bit funny. The boys started laughing again, Margaret actually joining in. Do I get the last request? Depends what it is, the doctor replied, his humour gone. I grew quite fond of my little human life. All those rituals, the brushing of the teeth, and the complicated way they cook things. There's a little restaurant just around the bay. It became quite a favourite of mine. He walked towards her, leaning over the railing to talk to her properly. Is that what you want? A last meal? Don't I have rights? Oh, like she's not going to try to escape? Jack rolled his eyes. Except I could never escape the doctor. So where's the danger? She countered darkly, before turning to the doctor as though assessing a challenger. But I wonder if you could do it. Sit with a creature you're about to kill and take supper. How strong is your stomach? Strong enough, he stated. I wonder. See you fight your enemies. Now dine with them. You won't change my mind. Prove it. The doctor turned and walked away, tempted. There are people out there. If you step away for just for 1 second, they'll be in danger. Except I've got views. Jack held up a pair of metal bracelets. You both wear one. If she moved more than 10 feet away, he made a loud buzzing noise, mimicking electric shock, causing Margaret to jump, startled. She gets zapped with 10,000 volts. The doctor grinned and spun around. Margaret, would you like to come out to dinner? My treat. Dinner in bondage. What's for me? Margaret stood. All right, Jack. The doctor nodded at him, taking the bracelets. Keep an eye on the TARDIS. He slipped the bracelet on and tossed one to Margaret, watching her put it on before turning to Angel and holding out his arms. Shall we? She blinked. You want me to come? I know, Margaret, he replied quietly. She'll definitely show something. Better to have a precog with me. And he didn't want to leave her alone with Jack. Well, with other men in general. He'd felt a rather odd sense of irritation with Mickey earlier. Much more than his typical Mickey the idiotic human irritation. Every time Angel so much as talked to the boy or looked at him or even stood by him had just, he didn't know, but his jaw tensed and his hands clenched and his eyes narrowed and he felt the insane desire to pull her away from the boy, and admittedly he tried to do so quite a few times. He just didn't really know why. She frowned a bit, but I'm not a precog. I just get feelings from time to time. Let's go with them. He smiled at her. Trust them. Trust me. She looked as though she were about to argue, but this was the doctor. He wasn't like her friends in the academy, the other Time Lords. She had to remind herself that she didn't have to hide her feelings from him. She didn't have to hide anything anymore. It was a nice change. She couldn't even remember the last time she had been able to just let herself feel completely, to not try to bear any sensations she would get. She smiled, took a breath, and nodded. All right, I'll try. That would be an experiment and a half. She never really actively tried to feel something before. Usually it just happened. She wasn't even sure if she could get a sensation that way, but she'd try. For the doctor. He beamed. Fantastic. And then dashed off to the door where Margaret was waiting and let her out, stepping out with her. Not a psychic, he shouted back to her. Oi, what's it, Thee? She countered with a laugh, running after them. Oh, they gotta have cute pet names for each other. And if you're on Archive, there is a picture with all 5 of them when they're where the doctor is doing the trick with the teleport thing and the Sonic. So, yeah. So, there's a little picture of that. So, but yeah, if you enjoyed this chapter, leave a like, go leave a review, comment, kudos, all that stuff. Go, go, go. We're done here now. So, yeah. But yeah, show the author some love. Let them know what you think. But also be sure to subscribe as well. I upload new videos every Friday and Saturday. And I'll see you guys next Friday with a new video. It will be the first video of the year, won't it? Oh, and I hope you have a happy new year too. Yeah. Anyway, bye!